Before we dive into the podcast, I want to add a little disclaimer. I am brand new to podcasting. There is going to be some miscues, some things I probably should have edited out, and maybe not so clean editing. So I appreciate your patience with me as I learn these new skills. So let's get right to the podcast. Welcome to Miles from Review. I am Kat, your host, and I am super excited to dive in and share a little bit more about what you can expect on the podcast, who I am, how I got here. I started out in track and field when I was really little and absolutely fell in love with challenging my body, seeing what I could do and push past my preconceived limits. And that really awoke at the core of my being, someone who became completely comfortable with putting themselves out there and learning through failure, learning through what can I do, and knowing that it's okay if I stumble and I don't quite have it all figured out. It also sharpened my inner stubbornness, where I refuse to quit when I know it is something I definitely want to understand and get better at. Now, I was not born this way, and it has grown over time. I first started my career as a college track and field coach. It was something that I absolutely enjoyed. It was an area where I could take my passion and love for the sport and then cultivate it into athletes and help them go beyond what they thought was possible. I loved having an athlete for 4 years, being able to start out and see them come in, see their potential before they could even see it, and help them develop those skills by the time they became a senior and ready to graduate, to see how much progress they've made in those 4 years. I never thought I would leave my career as a college coach, but what happened was I became a mom and I found myself completely burnt out to me. I was going 100% at work and 100% at home, but 0% was given back to me. I wasn't unhappy in my position. I wasn't unhappy as a mom. I just was a shell of a human being, and I wanted more. So I transitioned into something else, a career field I never saw myself doing. I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I never saw myself as a business owner. And so in the first few months of personal training, I noticed a trend happening. Clients would come in, they would see me, they'd be super excited to create the change. I was fired up, I would get a plan together, but then they wouldn't schedule. There would be weeks and gaps that would happen, and I was confused. They wanted to do this. I would check in, make sure that that the programming was right. It was aligned with what they wanted. They were making progress. Did they feel great about it? Or did I need to adjust things? But what I noticed was life kept being lifey. There was vacations, there was work projects, work trips, illnesses, whatever, all the other things, life kept intervening. I wouldn't see clients for sometimes 2 to 3 weeks. And this was a disservice I was doing to them. Here they were investing in me with their hard-earned dollars and their time to help them see the results they wanted. But life kept getting in the way. And that's when I realized conventional personal training was broken. It was not serving the individual. It was causing more frustration and increasing the gap between where they wanted to go and where they are now. So that's when I took a few of my clients and I said, hey, hear me out on this kind of silly idea. What if you had access to me outside of your training sessions and there were workouts? Now, the exercises that would be in there are things you're comfortable with, things that we've worked on, and it would be designed around what you had access to, still based on the timing, and you could provide me feedback and I would be in touch with you. So that's when I started online, or a hybrid theory of training in-person clients, both in person and virtually. This was almost 11 years ago. This was not a thing at all. It was an unorthodox way of training clients. Everyone was steeped in the idea, if I didn't see my trainer, how could I possibly get a good workout? It was also around the time when I realized this, that I wound up being blindsided by a high-risk pregnancy. So there I was on bed rest. The cool thing was I had already started to train my clients virtually. So naturally I was able to switch into it and keep them on board and invested in this idea of, hey, you still have me, you're able to do the workouts, and here I'm going to help guide you with the safety net of having me there to help troubleshoot, go over form, and really work through some mindset barriers that the individuals had around training. While I was on bed rest, it allowed me to take a step back and really listen to what the industry was saying and what I didn't like about it. I knew from a core I did not like the fad, the trends, the fear mongering, the telling you how you felt in your body, ultimately the stripping of the authority on your body, reducing you to fix this, snap back from here, and ultimately, if this isn't perfect, you're not enough. It was a direct message that you'll never be enough because we keep moving the goalposts even further. As soon as you sort of get within it, we're going to keep moving them. Personally, I just didn't understand this. I have an athletic background in the understanding of taking an athlete from point A and meeting them where they're at, providing the athlete with workouts that are going to meet them where they're at and elevate them, setting them up in an environment for success, not in an environment where they feel lesser than. Because with an athlete, you are trying to get them to perform at their peak when they need to, so that they can continue to qualify for higher levels of competition. That mindset is what I wanted to carry over into personal training. Even though clients who come to me are not training for a specific athletic competition, they are training for life. They want less aches and pains. They want to feel increased energy and comfortableness in their body. So with my programming and with my coaching, there is no quick fixes. There's no hacks. There's no detoxes. There's no over-the-top challenges where you're gritting your teeth and just white knuckling it all the way through and feeling miserable. No, we get down to it and do the tried and true stuff. And this is what I really want to uncover on this podcast, is dispelling the pseudoscience and the nuances out there, and particularly surrounding womanhood and motherhood. What you will see is there'll be tips that will be given, and I really want to be clear that this is not a just because I can do it, therefore you can do it. Absolutely not. It's what I've learned working with various women in all walks of life with multiple different 24 hours a day, that these are general things that you can apply. So I really encourage you to take what resonates with you, make it your own, and leave what doesn't resonate with you. Because if two people did the same workout, there's going to be two different outcomes. I also want to loop back to something I just said, the 24-hour theory. You might see this on any social network, someone touting, we all have the same 24 hours, or here's how you make your 24-hour setup. That stuff is BS, to be quite honest. The fact is, there are 24 hours in a day. That's the fact. What those 24 hours hold, it can change minute by minute. And that is the other reason why in my coaching programs and what I work with my clients on is this idea of the more adaptable you can be, the more consistent you're going to be able to show up, and the better you're going to see results. I will dive into this in subsequent episodes and really what that means and how you can start to adjust your mindset and strengthen your relationship with exercise. All right, so transitioning a little bit. Maybe you've noticed, maybe you haven't noticed, but I have two Instagram accounts. The podcast is called MilesFromHerView, and my business is CatFit. So why are there two Instagram accounts? Well, here's why. So when I started CatFit, it was all about, spouting out facts and do this and tips, and it was very stuffy. It was an account where I really felt like I couldn't express who I am. I also got a lot of clients saying, hey, we want to hear what you do. We want to see this in real time. So I created Miles from Her View with the ability to share more of what I do. And I was a little nervous about this because I want to really come from a place of just because I do it doesn't mean you should do it. Or since I am right now in my season of training for ultra marathons, when I first started it was marathons, that was not the one way to find fitness success or to see results. And even to this day, it is not, what I do is not the way that you should be doing it, because we're all unique individuals and that should be embraced. What I took Miles from Her View is the essence of, this is me and the way I can show up, and I try to be, as much as a picture or a couple pictures or a reel can show, the real struggles of maintaining a run training program, a strength training program, while juggling all the rest of life. The thing is, you are a complex human being, and that should be honored. And going along with that athletic mentality is, you have to look at the whole person, the whole athlete, in order to set them up for success. You can't ignore aspects of that individual and not get a great result. And that is one thing, again, going back to what I saw missing in the fitness industry, this ignorant capacity towards the other aspects of a person's life, this show up and get it done. We have the same 24 hours. If it was a priority, you would get it done. Well, I'm sorry. When your kid is screaming at you, you need to go deal with that. It doesn't matter what workout you had, or when you've been up all night because your child needed you, you're not going to do the workout. I would never expect anyone to do a workout when you're super sleep deprived, or if you have a pressing work project that takes priority. So how do we meet ourselves on that level? So that was the intention behind Miles from Her View, was the aspect of a way that I could pull back the curtain, show current clients, and it kind of took off without me really trying. And I don't want to sound cocky about that. I just expected, hey, you know what, I'm doing this. There's just a few people I shared it with. I never really came out by it. It's not because I was embarrassed or anything. It was really a way for my current clients to see what I was doing, away from the business title of CatFit. Now I've started to happily marry them together, because people did want to see. People are craving the realness of fitness. So that is my goal, is to continue to pull back those curtains and really show what true, real fitness in everyday life looks like, and how you can see the progress, see the change you want. Future episodes, I will bring on guests. I will bring on people that are experts in their field. Individuals who are absolutely incredible, who I know and who I happily refer out, because I don't know all the answers. All right. So what I encourage you to do is go down into the show notes. There's an anonymous form. You can ask questions. If you want, you can also leave a voice note. It's whatever you feel most comfortable. And I would love to hear your questions, things you're curious about, things you want cleared up. So I'm super excited to be on this journey with you, to have these authentic, real conversations and dissect some of the just BS that's out there. So welcome to Miles from Her View, your space with real stories, evidence-based back information to take the confusion out of strength training, movement practices, and nutrition.